Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Now it's time for your weekend tech tip, brought to you by Chevy Silverado.
Thank you for watching, everyone. We've got your Chevy Silverado tech tip of the week. Now, this comes up every year, right? And it is something we've addressed a handful of times over the years here on GPS. Also, before we get too far into it, I was just informed that if there were a need, or if you wish to do so, you can take your reels to Fisherman's Marine and they will flip your line for you. And they're experts at it. They got machinery and all this stuff to do it. Super slick. They'll do it for free from what we understand. Don't hold my feet to the fire on that. But that's what we were told. Right, Ryan? I'm putting it on you. So there's another option. But if that's not something that you're into doing, you know, if you like doing things on your own, this is actually a pretty simple way to do it. And the reason why you would do it is that our braided line, in particular, the P-Line Braid X, which is a phenomenal product, right? I've got one reel loaded up with this right now in 65 pound, because it's actually a very narrow, just a small diameter line for its poundage, just like all braided line that's out there. But the benefit of braided line is it'll last for years. You can fish this stuff daily through the season, springers, summers, and falls, and you'd be able to fish that line, as long as you take care of things properly, for numerous seasons. But it's not magic. It doesn't last forever, and there will be a time that you either need to remove it and replace it, or just flip it. It won't cost you nothing, right? So, and it's something that I know that I certainly don't do enough. Now, I have an excuse for what happened last season for salmon, and I'm sticking with it because it's all I got. I had a tough year last year, all right? Y'all know that. Folks are like, well, what's up? Where's the photos? Well, if you don't get them, I ain't got no photos to show you. I really struggled last year. It was one of the worst years I had for salmon fishing ever. And that's no joke, because it's been fully documented for like nearly 16 years here. It was terrible, right? So I went from thinking, well, okay, maybe my new boat's hot. Well, it turns out it wasn't. Maybe it just, you know, there's a weird smell. I washed that thing a lot, way more than I've washed probably the last 5 or 6 boats I've owned. So now, one of the things I'm trying to eliminate for this upcoming season is I don't want to deter bites or deter opportunities because of my terminal gear, right? I'm flipping every single one of my reels or refilling them with new line. I shouldn't have to. At least what my plan is I have 8 rod and reel combos in my boat throughout the season for salmon, no matter what season it is. I'm going to flip every one of them, right? I'm going to change all the terminal gear on all of them. I'm not going to mess around with any of this stuff, right? I'm just going to replace it. And so the question was how to do that efficiently. So it's not a hard process to do this yourself. It's just simply something that, you know, listen, if you haven't done it a lot, it can be a little confusing, so don't make it too difficult on yourself. Here's a reel, right? One of my favorite line counters. This is the digital line counter from Abu Garcia. I absolutely love this reel. There are countless versions of line counters out there, and this is just happens to be one that's in my starting lineup, right? I've got several others that are in my starting lineup, but this just happens to be one of them. Now, if you want to flip this line, which I'm absolutely going to do this year, you will take all of this line and you're going to run it onto one of your 3 reels. You can see I've got another one right here. You're going to take this line, load it all up onto here. So now you've got your bottom of your spool of this reel on top of the spool of your middle reel or your second reel that you're going to be putting this line onto. Now, I'm not going to take the time to do it here on air because I only have so much time to play with. But once this line comes off and it's on this reel, well, now this is where the third one comes in. And I'm hoping that this is starting to click with some of the folks that have asked this question. Now, you're going to run that line so that it's just like this now, okay? The same beginning of the line is on top of this third reel. Now you can take and flip it back to the line counter. And it'll be absolutely brand new. And it'll also be the right level. Now, if you're looking at your line, and you can see here, I got a little bit of gap in here. I like my line to be right at the bevel of all of the reels. Doesn't matter what manufacturer it is, there's always some sort of a bevel, right? This is a super ancient Shimano reel, and more of a straight wall on this guy here, and I would still want to have just a slight gap right there. So on this reel, this particular Abu with the line counter, that little chrome line, that little black gap that's right there, I would actually add a little bit more backing, okay? All of these smaller size, low profile reels that I have with line on them, that I'm fishing with, they all have backing on them to some degree. I would actually take and add a little bit more to this so that I can get that spool up just a little when I reel it off the third reel. So the process is simple. You'll take all that line, reel it up onto another reel, your second reel, and then from there to your third reel, and then back on to that particular reel that you want to make sure has the fresh line. Now, obviously, if you wanted to go from one reel to the next and it's the same size and you know that it's going to fill it, that's even easier. You can flip it onto a new reel. That's not always an option for everyone, but you can flip those reels very, very easy, and you can adjust the depths of them if necessary, right? It's important that you do that. You don't want those reels to be underspooled. So again, very, very simple, but if you really want to make it even more simple, just go over to Fisherman's Marine, tell them that I said that they'll do it for free, because that's what we were told. Now, again, I'm blaming Ryan if I'm wrong, but they're the best at it. And while you're there, maybe take a look at some of the reels that are on sale, and maybe just load up some of those reels with brand new braided line. And I would recommend the P-line highly. This is some very, very good material. And I love the fact that it's narrow enough that I can bump it up to 65 pound, and I can actually be at that same diameter that the old school braid that we used to use, that's so much thicker than what a more modern technology is with these 8 carrier braids. You can get even heavier. Not that you need 65 pound, but you just don't need that super thin line on your reel for a number of different reasons, especially for salmon fishing, what we're referring to. You get that same diameter, and you end up with a little bit more strength there, maybe a little bit more durability in the long run. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out. It does take a little bit of time to do it, and I'm going to be doing it quite a bit here before our season starts up in, February, April-ish, when I start to get crazy trying to chase that early springer. Anyway, there you go. There's your Chevy Silverado Tech Tip of the Week. Hopefully it helps you out. When we come back, we're going to have Big Dave Manners on the line from Big Dave's Guide Service. I got a little ahead of myself last segment. Also, when we do have a chance to check in, we'll find out if you need to make that decision to maybe head that way this upcoming week. We'll be right back.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Terra Firma Foundation Systems. We keep homes safe, dry, and stable. By Yakima Bait, steeped in tradition, innovation, and fishing success. And by Procure Bait Sense, ruthlessly effective.